I'm flawed. We all are. But my father didn't believe he was. My mother died when I was 6, and my dad took it really hard. You know, as most people would, hopefully. But he continued to care for me, well, as well as he could. I mean, probably until I was like 8 or 9, I think. And I came home from school one day. He was passed out on the couch, a drink in his hand, and beer cans were scattered all over the fucking place. It was new. It was terrifying. But I just figured I'd ignore it, and I just went up to my room. I didn't realize then that this was just gonna keep happening every day. It didn't affect me as much as you'd think it would, until he started, getting kind of aggressive. I'd come home and he'd be yelling, "Why the fuck are you home so late?" "Because I had school." "Get the hell out of here." This whittled away at me. My self-esteem, which is already low for a high schooler, ended up even worse. And I know this sounds cliche, but at school I was called like fat, ugly, bitch, disgusting, like anything and everything you could think of to make someone feel bad. But it got a million times worse when my dad started getting physically abusive. The kids at school laughed at me for wearing long sleeves during the summer, which were, at first they were to cover bruises, but then they were to cover things that were my fault. Anyway, I was an outcast. I had a specified group of friends, but, you know, they all had other friends, so I ended up being that one that never got to be in any plans. It was lonely. Like, how was I supposed to exist when nobody wanted me to exist? My parents, my dad wanted me dead. My teachers gave zero fucks about me, and my friends, they weren't even really my friends. So I was alone in the world. I was existing, not living. I'd go to school, come home, insults would be hurled at me, and then I'd go to my room and cry myself to sleep. I figured that if everyone hated me so much, I deserved to be hated. So self-harm was my escape. It helped me release endorphins and blah 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 blah. But really, it was the way I could punish myself instead of letting other people punish me. I was a disgrace that no one wanted around, right? But, everything came to a close one day. I was in my senior year of high school, and it was a few days away from turning 18. When I got home from school that day, my father was awake for the first time in a very long time. He was seething with rage. His aura was, almost visible, honestly. I could smell the booze on him from across the room, and his eyes were bloodshot. He looked absolutely pissed. "Why the actual fuck are you home so late? You're supposed to be cleaning. There are cigarette butts in the sink that I told you to clean, and the room is an absolute mess of trash." His breathing was sporadic, and I couldn't really tell much of what he was saying at this point. "You're a fucking pathetic excuse for a daughter. You're the reason your mother is dead. It's all your fucking fault, Carter. Wish she had never given birth to you. And maybe I'd still have the most important woman in my life." Then he swung at me. But this wasn't how he usually was. It was sloppy and, I guess, miscalculated? As he got closer, I realized that he was high. This is the first time I'd ever seen him like this, and for once, it was actually hitting me. You know, those stupid lines on the counter that I just really wanted to ignore because he was all I had left, and I was hoping it wasn't that bad. I didn't want to think about it, but it was all connected. The cigarette butts, the alcohol. He did all of this because of me. It was my fucking fault. So before he could get another swing in, I ran up to the bathroom and locked the door. I was sobbing, I was torn up, I was brutalized and broken. I knew what I needed to do. So I ran a hot bath. I put bubbles in it. I lit candles. I had to let my last moments be comfy, right? Is that morbid? Anyway, I had let the bathroom get steamed up, and before I knew it, I was just laying in the bathtub. A previously full pill bottle now laying on the cold, hard floor. I let myself soak until, I fell unconscious. I was lucky enough to not wake up. Life was pathetic for me, and here, where I am now, where I am now, wherever the hell this place is, I'm happy. I've made friends, people my age who have gone through similar things. There's no lesson in my story. I wanted what I wanted, I did what I did, and I got it. So I'm sorry if you wanted something else. I guess, thank you for listening at least. So, I guess I'll start. My name is Liz, and this is Dean.
What's up?
We committed what everyone decided to end up calling joint suicide, but it was just our way of staying together. It's not really that much of a long story, and it's kind of morbid, I guess, in the way that we tell it so lightly. But here it is. We've been friends since we were about 8. I moved into his duplex, so we were instant friends. We both still have a different version of how we met, though.
My version's right.
My version's right.
Nope.
Yeah, that's beside the point. We've been best friends for our entire meaningful lives, actually. I was there when his youngest brother was born.
Beast.
He was there when I decided to cut contact with my dad since he was being fucking awful. And I was there when his older brother killed himself. We've been through thick and thin, through all the fights, the dumbass shit that we shouldn't have done, everything. We've always been each other's rock. Well, I guess we found out one day that my mom was getting remarried, and we were moving. This seemed like the worst thing possible, and then it got worse. We were moving all the way across the fucking world. Honestly, we both were a little disgusting. We begged and we pleaded with her to reconsider. We were desperate, but she just wouldn't. So, what would we do, right? I was 18, but had absolutely no means to move out on my own, and I couldn't move in with him. Right?
No, my mom isn't that exactly the greatest either.
Yeah. We tried to find something. Anything. Literally anything. To keep us together, but there was nothing. Then we realized there was one day. This one way. It was drastic. It was crazy. But we wouldn't have to live a miserable life without each other. Now, before you say anything like,
oh, you could have just Snapchatted or something, video call, anything. It's different.
It really is. When you're having a mental breakdown in the middle of the night and the other has their ringer off, neither of us could just walk into the other's house anymore. There'd be no fun hangout days where we just do nothing together.
And I mean nothing. We literally sat in our hallway just doing nothing.
Yeah, we'd have to make talking more of an ordeal, and it was just too much. So, we got together one day in the attic with my brother's gun. It felt like the easiest way, least pain possible. The first plan was for one of us to just do both, but, neither of us could actually do it. So we sat on the floor, reminisced, cried about everyone we would miss, tried last minute to find anything we could do, anything. And when we came up blank, we took the final leap. We held hands, and he went first. He couldn't bear to look, so as soon as I heard the gun go off, I grabbed it and pulled the trigger as quickly as I possibly could. We've discussed how we feel about it now, and we never would have done it.
No.
We've seen all the pain it caused. Our parents are devastated. They cry every fucking day, and we know it's our fault. And now we're stuck living with that for eternity.
And are we happy that we're together? Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
I would think so too. But, death wasn't the right answer. And from everyone else we've heard from around, it never truly is. I'm Hay. My parents named me that because it means a girl who's like the ocean, and my mom went into labor in the water at the beach. We moved from Korea to the US when I was just a baby, and I loved it. I was an only child. I was showered in love, affection, gifts, attention, everything I could have ever wanted. But as I got older, it felt like life wasn't really worth it. I brought this up to my parents, and they sent me to therapy. They gave me everything I ever could have asked for in support when they found out. But it just didn't feel like enough to keep my brain out of this dark-ass place. So they brought me to the doctor, who put me on medication for severe depression. It didn't make it worse. It didn't make me feel like a zombie. I was happy. I was feeling better than ever. Years went by before it got worse, but every time I brought it up to my doctor, he would just up my dosage. But there gets to a point where they can no longer up your dosage. I loved my school, my family, my friends, my life, but I hated myself. So one night, I just took the entire bottle. I wasn't trying to kill myself. I was just so desperate to feel happy and normal again that I ignored any repercussions that could have came from this. The next thing I remember was waking up in a hospital bed, my parents sobbing next to me. I could say nothing, only squeeze their hand. The look of relief and sadness when they looked up at me hurt my heart so desperately. I tried to do anything I could to make them feel better, but they didn't want to hear my fake words of reassurance. They just hugged me and loved me and made sure I was held until I had fallen asleep again. But next time I woke up, I wasn't in the hospital. I was here, in whatever this afterlife is. It was awful looking over them hurt. Apparently, after pumping my stomach, I should have been okay, but I guess some sort of rip complication happened and I didn't make it. I don't know, but I miss them desperately. I miss my friends, I miss my dog, and that one teacher that never really liked me, but that still wept for me. I miss my life, and I just wanted to be in my parents' arms again. The last thing I told them was that I loved them, and they gave me a kiss on the forehead. That warm feeling still lives in my heart, so deep. I miss them. I miss living.